Welcome back to the Cybersecurity Whisperer, where we take the news, strip out the fluff, and deliver the straight truth with a little personality along the way. I'm your host, Elliott Franklin, and whether you're in the SOC, the boardroom, or stuck untangling yet another third-party risk matrix, this one's for you. Now, imagine asking ChatGPT for legal advice, or writing a love letter to your ex, or uploading your company's NDA, and then realizing that it's all public, indexed by Google. That's exactly what happened. A researcher scraped nearly 100,000 ChatGPT chats that users had voluntarily shared via the share feature. This option made conversations publicly accessible and, crucially, search engine indexable. Now, Google picked them up, everything from confidential contracts to business names and even LinkedIn post prompts. They're now floating around the web. Now, OpenAI has pulled the feature, calling it a short-lived experiment. Their CISO, Dane Stuckey, admitted it created too many opportunities for accidental oversharing. The damage, though, is done. Even if OpenAI purges the links from search engines, of course, the dataset has already been collected by third parties. So your takeaway is even opt-in sharing features, they need strong UX cues about data exposure risks. AI transparency doesn't mean your secrets stay safe. Now, both Google and Cisco were hit by voice phishing or vishing attacks targeting their Salesforce CRM platforms. The attackers linked to the ShinyHunters group. They posed as IT help desk support or employees to gain access to internal portals and extract business data. Now, the breaches, they didn't expose passwords or highly sensitive information, but they did include user IDs, phone numbers, email addresses, which are perfect fuel for follow-up social engineering. Google even published a warning about the group's extortion playbook. Months after the breach, they'll circle back with ransom demands. Whether that ransom gets paid or not is another story, but the pressure is real. And so your lesson and our lesson is defense starts, as we've said over and over, with awareness. If your team isn't trained to detect social engineering, no tool or no amount of money can save you. Now, we have talked about IoT risk for years, but this one's personal. Healthcare facilities are reporting criminal misuse of connected cameras, from spying on staff to installing hidden surveillance devices. Attorney Rachel Rose and Northeastern researcher Yan Long, they detailed incidents where pharmacists spied on coworkers or clinics, installed hidden restroom cameras. Now, these aren't just HIPAA violations. They could really trigger criminal charges under biometric privacy laws and the Stored Communications Act. What's even worse, many healthcare companies still lack tools to detect rogue devices. Long noted that even disconnected cameras, they emit electromagnetic signals that can be detected, but few institutions have the technology to locate them. So our reminder is, look, security, it's not just about systems, it's about dignity and trust, especially in healthcare. Now, you may not be familiar with these for the home use, but a lot of businesses have use access cameras or access communications. And again, they're a maker of internet-connected surveillance cameras. They patched recently 4 critical flaws this week, flaws that could let attackers take over entire camera networks without authentication. And these are researchers at Clarity. They found over 6,500 access cameras stationed. The servers were exposed online, most in the US, Germany, Japan, and the UK. And these servers, now they managed hundreds of cameras, often at airports, banks, and government sites. One vulnerability was CVE 2024-3159, and it was a 9.8 CVSS score. And it allows root-level remote code execution. And if you exploit the access.remoting protocol, then attackers can forge objects and hijack systems invisibly. So your lesson, our lesson here is, if you're running Access, ADM, or ACS, patch those immediately. As you can see, that CVS was 2024 last year. And segment your surveillance network from your enterprise network, IoT from everything else. Well, the next piece, again, hit close to home because, well, I'm in it. So CISO Magazine, they published a feature on what keeps CISOs up at night, and I shared my honest view. Most of us are managing a patchwork of tools and platforms that were never designed to work together. And over time, layers of solutions, they've accumulated. And the more fragile it gets, the more likely something will break. I talked about third-party risk. Remember that McDonald's bot breach caused by a vendor using 123456 as the password? And also how AI it will not fix broken fundamentals. It's not the attackers that rob me of sleep. It's the internal pressure to move fast, skip security steps, and bolt new tech on the shaky foundation. So the bottom line is, again, AI is great, but it's not a Band-Aid. We need solid security architecture before adding even more complexity. Cyber criminals in APAC physically installed a 4G-enabled Raspberry Pi onto a bank's ATM switch, and that gave them a backdoor into the bank's internal IT systems, completely bypassing all perimeter defenses. The cost of the attack, maybe $175. I mean, I've got a couple of Raspberry Pis, don't you? And this wasn't theoretical. It happened this year. Group IB tied it to UNC 2891, a known advanced persistent threat group. Thanks to sharp digital forensics, the attack was stopped before cash actually started flowing out. So remember, we've said it over and over, physical security is cybersecurity, and cheap tools can lead to very expensive outcomes. Now, VPNs are trending again, this time in the UK. After the Online Safety Act took effect, the law forces users to submit ID verification to access adult content, prompting a 1,400% surge in Proton VPN downloads. Security analysts warn many free VPNs double as data brokers. So while users may feel protected, your privacy is still at risk, just from a different direction. So again, your takeaway is digital freedom is under pressure, and where privacy measures become policy, VPNs become the resistance, but not all of them are safe, so do your research. And just some quick hits here. Cloudflare says Perplexity. If you're not familiar with Perplexity, that's a competitor to OpenAI or ChatGPT. It's another AI platform. Cloudflare says Perplexity's bots, they're ignoring robots.txt rules and masking as Chrome browsers to scrape content. Not a good look for an AI firm claiming to respect publishers. But again, if it's out there on the web, it's probably going to be indexed anyway. IBM's 2025 cost of a data breach report is out. Global costs are down, but U.S. costs are up to $10.2 million on average per breach. Shadow AI is now linked to 1 in 5 breaches. And lastly, St. Paul, Minnesota. They called in the National Guard after a sophisticated cyber attack crippled city systems. Local emergency services were spared, but citywide IT systems are still shut down. Well, again, cybersecurity is moving fast, and whether it's deepfakes, misuse AI, or attackers with $35 computers, the same truth applies. We can't forget the fundamentals. If this episode gave you something to think about, subscribe, share it with a friend, or drop me a message on LinkedIn. And until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and whisper back at the noise. This has been the Cybersecurity Whisperer. I'm Elliott Franklin. See you next week.